This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, September 13th, 2006, and I'm going to Disney World today. Woo! This is also episode number 152 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from mgmstudios.org. Narcoossee social planner is here, Len Testa of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
I recommend the oysters, Matt. How's it going?
They're very nice. And the oldest man in podcasting is here, Mike Scopa of mouseplanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
Serpents and spiders, tale of a rat. Call in the spirits wherever they're at. You know, I hated that rhyme. I've always hated that rhyme. Rap on a table, it's time to respond. Send us a message from somewhere beyond.
And you hate it, yet you repeat it.
I hate that, you know. Tale of a rat, call in the spirits wherever they're at. I just, you know,
they were on deadline. I understand completely.
I guess, yeah. It's the 11th hour, and they said, let's go with it.
You know what? What rhymes with rat?
And Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio is here. Welcome, Mr. Newell.
Matt, just make sure you bring me back a T-shirt when you go.
Yeah, I'm leaving Len voicemails every day of me eating Wonka bars.
It's fine.
And speaking of Len, when he's not antagonizing me, he has something to tell you. Len?
2 things, actually. One, we needed to announce a winner for the pirate contest. So for our people who are just joining us for the first time, a couple episodes ago, I asked the question why Will and Elizabeth in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, possessed the Aztec gold medallion but did not turn into skeletons, because it didn't make any sense to me. And a bunch of people wrote in and said that if you listen to Barbossa's explanation of the curse about a third of the way into the movie, he says that it only affects mortals who took the gold from the chest. And I said that I didn't love that explanation because it just seemed inelegant. Well, and I asked actually for our listeners to send in the best explanation as to why this curse works the way it is. And I am pleased to announce that we have a winner, and the winner is Brian McGowan. Woo! Brian's explanation was this.
Woohoo!
That his email starts off with, I'm thinking that this curse was not written by lawyers, but rather a bipartisan curse subcommittee. Because Brian points out that, if you guys remember, the Black Pearl is cursed in the movie, yet the Black Pearl is not immortal, nor did it ever take anything out of the chest. So clearly, there is something more to this curse than Barbossa's original explanation. I mean, we debated the free will of monkeys in a previous episode. Brian's explanation, we did.
I
did. It was more of a one-sided sort of monologue anyway, but a soliloquy, in fact. Anyway, Brian's explanation came as close to I could tell as being the most accurate. So Brian wins. Brian, send me your address, and I'll send you a copy of the Disney CD that they have. And with that being said, we have a new contest. Matt, you'll have to put a link in the show notes, but I got an email from Bob Selinger just before he left on a whirlwind 3-week trip to China. He said that we're going to update the Walt Disney World with Kids book later on this year, and we're having a contest to get 2 things from readers. One is the funniest story about kids, either yours or someone else's, at Walt Disney World. And the other thing we'd like to hear is your best tip for traveling with kids at Walt Disney World. So we're going to select winners for both of those 2 categories. Winners get $100 plus a signed book and Unofficial Guide T-shirts. We'll also be giving the top 4 runners up in each category signed books and Unofficial Guides T-shirts. Look for a link on touringplans.com for how you can enter the
I'll put a link in the
contest.
Show notes, too.
It's essentially sending an email to Bob at unofficialguides@menasheridge.com, but we'll provide a link in the show notes for everyone.
Great.
Cool, thanks.
And it's Wednesday, so we're answering your listener questions, and we're going to start off with a question by Stacy Moggle of Smithsburg, Maryland, who writes, Hey guys, I have a few questions. The first is for Len. I was wondering when the Unofficial Guide gets updated each year.
The Unofficial Guide is updated twice a year. Typically, it's constantly revised, but it comes out usually in August and then in February. So roughly every 6 months, there's a new book in print. Of course, everything that we have updated is also on the website.
Great. Stacy's other question is, my family and I are going to Florida in November. We will be there for 5 days total, but spending the first 2 nights with the family, and the next 2 nights we rented points and are staying at the Boardwalk Villas. I was wondering if we are able to use the Magical Express when we leave the Boardwalk to go to the airport.
Let's see why not.
Renting points.
There's a problem, though.
Renting points.
Newell?
I had a problem with DVC members are the only ones that can book the Magical Express.
Oh,
So-
it has to be in your
Yeah,
name.
so if somebody goes as a guest of a DVC member, the actual member has to call and book that reservation for Magical Express.
It's not terrible.
No, but if she's renting points from somebody, she'd have to get that person
To
to
do
also call.
All right. That's doable.
It's doable, but it's a pain.
Our next question is from James Steeple of New Hope, Minnesota, who writes,
Go
"Hey guys,
Vikings!
love the work you are doing for us. We're going to Disney World at the end of October, and up until the last couple of days, I was just assuming the 50th celebration went through the end of 2006. Obviously, the new information, the Year of a Million Dreams, tells me that the 50th celebration ends at the end of September, and Million Dreams begins on October 1st. So my questions are related to the 50th celebration, and it is, when will the castle decorations be removed? How long will it take, and how ugly, for example, scaffolding and around the castle, will it be?"
They're doing it now, aren't they?
I believe a crane is coming in either this week or next week, and they are going to start dismantling the mirror and the gilded attachments to the castle. They're also planning to do a paint job on the castle, and I've heard conflicting reports as to when it's supposed to be done, and the last I heard was that it's supposed to be done before December 1st, but I don't know exactly. I'm trying to get some information from one of my friends who works at the Magic Kingdom, and as soon as I find that, I'll let you know, Matt, so you can put it in the show notes.
Sure. Hey, James has another interesting question here. He says, "Why would Disney begin a promotion like this with the most regular coveted prize being a night in the castle when they aren't going to have the room finished until 2007? At least 1/5 of the event will not have its best draw available."
Dude, there's so many issues with this whole promotion
Yeah.
that
It's
that
not-
not having
yeah.
not having the castle ready is the least of it. I mean, first of all, we don't know how many prizes each park gets. We don't know what the distribution or the average value of the prizes are. My guess is it's a year of 999,950 pins and 50 cool things.
Yeah, and the information on this promotion has been very tight-lipped since June. We haven't heard much. I knew that
I think
back
they're
in
winging
June.
it. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
I think you're right, Len. I think that there were a lot of things that were still going through a decision-making process, and they have not ironed out certain details, and they're hoping that they'll have something that they can announce on or about October 1st. And I'm not even sure. Len, do you know if
really
there's a
think- I
media
really-
event?
No, there's no. In fact, we asked. The media event's not until 2007, which tells me that they're taking the last half of 2006 to figure out exactly what they want to do here.
A little premature.
Oh, by the way, Matt, we have an update on our website about the castle refurbishment, and it looks like the decorations should be done by Christmas, is what we're saying.
Great.
But I mean, I think they're just winging the whole thing.
Yep.
The next email is from Jared Crispo of New York, New York, who writes, "Hey guys, love the show. I listen to you guys on the way to work every morning, and yes, I download your archives so I can burn them to CD and catch up.
Awesome.
This question is in reference to an earlier podcast about Walt Disney World music. I guess this would be directed towards Mike Newell. I used to download all the area music in the parks via IRC. I had all the area music for every part of the park, plus all the attraction audio until my computer died and I lost everything. There are now no servers on the IRC site anymore. Do you have any other suggestions? I'd even go as far as to pay some of you money for another chance to get all of your music that I lost. Thanks. P.S.
Send it to
Millions.
send a request to Mike Newell, CO Leavenworth Prison.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Google is your friend. That's what we say. We like to say
Bubba
that.
sent you.
Google is your friend.
Yeah, Google is your friend. Jared also wrote, P.S. Matt, I used to be a cast member at MGM, and your site is amazing. Thank you, Jared. Our next question is from Christine from Richmond, Virginia, who writes, "Hi guys, I was wondering if there are any plans to make Crush," I believe she's referring to Turtle Talk with Crush, "a fast pass attraction given its immense popularity. If not, what would be the best way to see this without waiting in line for 2 hours? We're going during Jersey Week."
Go before 10 a.m.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
or don't go during Jersey Week.
I don't think it'll be a fast pass attraction only because the capacity is so low. It'd be like fast passing Dumbo.
Yeah.
And it's just not cool.
There's a little trick too. You know, when you go into the Living Seas Pavilion and the queue is right near where there's a stairwell. If you can get into that queue before it goes past the stairwell, then you'll get into the very next show. If the line is already past that stairwell, don't even bother to get into it because you won't be able to get into the next show.
Interesting. Good tip.
Yeah, originally when they started showing Turtle Talk, they were letting in. We counted about like 80 people per show, but with its new popularity, they're trying to get like 100, 110, 120 ish. And they're really cramming more. I mean, it's standing room only now for these shows.
And you really can't enlarge that little amphitheater
No,
because
it really
then you
wasn't built
lose
for
the
it.
touch, the personal touch. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's the best attraction, possibly in Walt Disney World, but one of the top attractions in my book.
What?
Oh, yeah. I went there. Come on, say it, Len. No.
Dude, you're on track.
Thank you.
I mean, I like it.
He can't spit it out.
The technology is really something.
The technology is something, but it's a movie that talks back to you. There's more to it than that. I mean, it's not that great.
It's awesome, man.
All right.
It's the best thing since the Hydrolators.
It's like I don't even know you anymore.
And he's been like this, Len, ever since they let him sit in front, up close to.
Oh, is that what it is?
You know,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
never mind. That explains.
You would
it.
have talked to the little dude with the Wonka bar.
Hey, little guy.
Hey, is that waterproof? You can just toss it in here, little squirt.
You with the MGM Studio shell on. Bar. What's your name, little fella?
You have a question for me? Cat Crush, is the Hydrolators really real?
I was scared. I was scared.
Next question.
Very good. Very good.
That was
Scopo.
great. Anyway, enjoy your trip, Christine. Hey, I think this whole Walt Disney World thing's going to catch on, so definitely, definitely give it a try.
Possibility.
That's what I'm saying.
Tom writes to us, "Hello, Walt Disney World gang. My name is Tom from League City, Texas, just outside of Houston. I've been listening to your podcast since the first of the year. Out of all the podcasts out there, yours is the one I look forward to listening to the most. I enjoy the different perspectives on your varied topics. I've been visiting Disney World since its opening when I was a teenager, and presently my wife and I go at least once a year. We always stay on site lately. Sometimes we've been staying at Pop Century. We are going again later in the year, staying at Pop, and we are booked in a standard room, not a preferred. Now, this is the part for Mike. When I asked for a building preference, I was surprised to hear that 50s and 70s are now preferred buildings. One source says the entire section is preferred. Another says only the rooms in the 50s and 70s are. Only the 80s and 90s are designated as standard rooms for sure. So it seems like 2/3 of Scopa Towers have gone upscale. Have you heard anything regarding this? Keep up the good work."
Sounds more like 3/5. I'd like to know where he got this information from. This is Tom, right?
Yes.
Right down that. The thing is, Tom, that the last I had heard was that the 60s buildings, which are directly across from Classic Hall, their rooms 4100 through, I believe, 5472. Those were the rooms that I thought were preferred. Now, when you talk about 70s and 50s, there are rooms that are located well on the other side of these. I guess you'd call them T's, and I just don't see them as being labeled as preferred. I mean, they're not that close to the Classic Hall as the 60s. Now,
What the hell's going on in the background?
yeah, what the heck's going on? Yeah, we're supposed to wash these dishes before we do the show, Matt. He does not say. Does Tom say where he got this information from?
No, he does not.
Yeah, I would
Keeping
double
the show in a
check.
bowling alley.
I stayed in the. Let me see.
I thought the mute was on.
I stayed in the 50s last.
Go ahead, Scopo. We'll get through this.
I was going to say I was in the 50s last December, and it was not a preferred room.
Yeah,
then.
I can't see how 50s is preferred. It's just too far.
trying to remember where I stayed in. I don't remember where I stayed in May. I don't remember.
I heard the 60s was the preferred building, just the 60s.
I could see the
There are
60s.
two buildings. There are two 60s buildings. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're located. They're on each side of the Hippy Tippy Pool. They're the ones with the Play-Doh and Baloo and everything. And I think the yo-yos are the stairwells for that. But the 50s with the candle pins, the 70s with the 8 tracks, I just don't. I've not heard anything about those two being preferred.
Great. Well, 60s unless Scopa hears otherwise. Anyway, Scopa owns the resort anyway, so.
I will check on that, Matt, and get back to you on that.
Great. Jim from East Pennsylvania. Go, Len. Say it.
Go Eagles?
Go Charlie Batch.
Go Charlie Batch. There you go. Matt, Mike, and Len. You are all Disney fans and do not work for Disney. You all have opinions, or else your podcast might be a little boring. So with all that knowledge, I was wondering your opinion about the following. In past podcasts, you've talked about the overly high price of going to a character meal at the castle in the Magic Kingdom. You said it is too expensive, even though there are some people who will want to attend at almost any cost. Obviously, Disney is trying to find those magic numbers on how high they can charge for all things tickets, hotel rooms, meals, souvenirs, etc., before people won't pay. So, in your opinions, how much is too much for park admission tickets and on-site hotel rooms for Walt Disney World? Thanks for your thoughts on this. Also, bring more guests on the podcast. It is good to hear others provide their input.
What's too much? That's a good question.
Very good question.
What I would like to see is more package deals like they have for, like $1,500 for a family of 4, for 7 nights or whatever. I would like to see more of those because in a previous show, I ranted about how bringing my wife and daughter down for 4 days was going to cost me $2,500. Part of that is in transportation costs. I mean, just flying is $660, right?
Right.
And then you add in food, tickets. Tickets are a huge expense. Hotel, another huge expense. Car rental, not so much. But 4 days shouldn't be $2,500. And granted, we were staying at a DVC resort, renting points, but still, that was only a quarter of the expense. I don't see how you could fly to Walt Disney World for 4 days for less than $2,000 at anything other than a value resort. I would be surprised.
And that's what Disney would tell you anyway. Stay at a value resort.
But it just seems like for example, I could take my family to the Keys, to Key West, for a whole lot less than $2,500.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, Matt, it's an interesting question because if you go into I don't want to plug the website again, but if you go onto the Magic Your Way ticket page on the website, yesterday I actually plotted out the increase in prices of everything from a gallon of gas to Disney tickets from 2004 to 2006. So one of the interesting things that we saw was that Disney's ticket price increases from 2004 to 2006. The only thing that increased faster in terms of prices was a gallon of gas. It far outpaced, which was like 58%, or whatever. I'll send you the link to the. It's at the bottom of the Magic Your Way page. Gas has increased in price by like 58%. A Disney Child 4-day park hopper ticket, 44% over the last 2 years. A 4-day adult park hopper, 31%. 30% for a 7-day park hopper plus. Even the 1-day admission is up 22%. The only thing that comes close in terms of the general economy is the U.S. median house price, which has increased 16.5%. Guess how much wages have gone up over the last 2 years?
Not nearly as much as that.
Less, right? 4.7%. So in absolute terms, it's getting more expensive to go to Walt Disney World.
Absolutely.
By a factor of like 7 versus what you're making. It's got to, the U.S. Consumer Price Index is only up 7% and change over the same time period.
I think we'd all agree that we just prefer to see the price of things go up in Disney World in accordance with relative to what they are in the rest of the
prices
world.
of the rest of the economy, right? Exactly. So we should probably edit out everything I just said and say, well, the U.S. Consumer Price Index is up 7.4% over the last couple of years. Disney ticket prices are up on average 28 to 30%, or 7 times as much, or 4 times as much. I'd like to see them more in line. And honestly, what are we getting for those price increases?
Good point.
It's not a rhetorical question. I mean, what do we get? We get like one new ride every couple of years. And what else?
Lots of new merchandise we can spend more money on.
Well, no, but I mean, I know like some of it must go to like healthcare costs because I know healthcare costs are rising like 10 or 11% for Disney a year. But even assuming the 11% per year for that plus the 7% for the U.S. Consumer Price Index, that's only 18%, and tickets are up like 30. Where's the rest going?
I got an idea, but it's probably not what we like to hear.
Go ahead. What is it?
It's profit.
Yes, that's the thing. I mean, if Disney's promised, and I don't know what their average annual return on equity is, but if they're averaging, if their goal is, let's just say 20% shareholder growth per year, that's a lot. And I don't think it's 20%, by the way. It's probably more like 10.
Cheryl Klein of Westfield, Massachusetts. Is that near you, Scopa?
Cheryl, where is that?
Westfield, Mass.
Give or take 100 miles, yeah.
All right, we'll go say hi to her sometime.
Hey, Cheryl.
My family, 14 total. Well, it should be too hard to find them, Scopa.
Go Patriots.
I guess they don't have cable, huh? Sorry.
We'll be going to Walt Disney World soon, and we are staying in different resorts. I'm wondering how difficult is it and expensive will it be for us to call each other's rooms? Does Disney World make calls between resorts easy, and is there a huge charge for them? Would it make more sense for us all to bring down our cell phones and deal with roaming charges instead? Thanks in advance for answering my question, and keep up the great show.
Okay, Cheryl, here's the key. The key is that if you are staying in the same resort, then you can just dial the room number and there will not be a charge on your room bill. However, if you are in the Wilderness Lodge and you're calling someone at Boardwalk, well, it will be charged to your room as an external call. So the answer is that you should make good use of your cell phones down there and take them down there to keep in contact with everyone. It's the best way to do it. It's the most efficient way to do it. And also, if you have your cell phone, you put WDW Dine on there, and you can make your advanced dining reservations when you're in the park.
Great. That's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you when I get back from Walt Disney World.
Woohoo!